let's talk about a few more just broader big picture things then. If I'm being totally honest, I have very little to no confidence in the United States to lead on climate change. I just don't. I don't see it happening,
Right.
and I hope I'm proven wrong. I desperately want to be proven wrong, but I think that the one thing to keep in mind is that climate change is a worldwide problem, so we're trying to solve it as one world. So I do have a little more hope that other parts in the world are going to lead, and the United States will just be drug along, kicking and screaming. Do you agree with that, or do you think like that's a possibility? And if so, who do you see leading?
Um, the Green Party. People forget the Green Party is the largest political party in the world, unless you count all the membership in the Communist China Party. Um, so one of the things I'm working on these days is COP26, call it the Last Chance COP, basically follow up to Paris, going to take place in Glasgow in November. And, delegates from all over the world, official country delegates. The Green Party will be there. The Green Party will have quite a few votes.
And this is worldwide.
Worldwide. I'm trying to do a forum before Biden's Earth Day summit. And one of the things I'm trying to do is get the cabinet ministers who are the head of their country on environment, like Secretary of the Environment, who are Green Party members. And there's about 4 of them, to come speak at that. I used to have this game. Anytime I would see a country do something unusual or good on climate, I would go Google the Green Party. And almost invariably, the Green Party was part of the coalition government. And that usually the Greens had said, we will allow you to do what you want on the economy within reason and stuff like that. That will be yours. We're taking climate. We want this. This is what you do. And the Green Party has been certain. Green Party may become the new, what do they call the head of the German government? Right now they're in second place with a lot of votes, but there'll be a coalition government. And apparently, whoever's the head of the Green Party there is very politically popular, and so they, chancellor, I believe, is the title. Will become the chancellor. It's not guaranteed, but the Green Party has been doubling its votes in the last couple of years, particularly in Europe, but other parts of the world, because people in the rest of the world, which is why you're right, the United States is not going to lead. They're very concerned about climate, and they view the Green Party as the political party that is most committed to climate. And so, and the Greens in Germany have been in and out of government, for 30 years. They're not, well, what are they going to do? You know exactly what they do. I remember during the Balkan War, the most popular politician in Germany was the basically our equivalent of Secretary of State. And, he's the one that negotiated the ceasefire in the Balkan War, during the Clinton administration. We thought he should have been faster about it, but it was very, very nice instead of me trying to send emails to Bush or Clinton, sending emails to the German Green Party and say, "Come on, you got to do it." Is very helpful. But the European Green, not the European Greens, yes, European Greens, but European political parties in general are so much more progressive than the Democrats are. Democrats would be a far right party in any of the European countries.
Yes, thank you. We talk about that a lot on this show. I actually would make the case, and it's funny. I had a guest on recently from England, and I guess it's one of those, grass is always greener on the other side. But I would make the case that the Democrats overall are to the right of the Tories. And that's not saying the Tories are terrible, but I would actually argue that Democrats are further right than the Tories. Like they would be a far right party. And what are some specific countries then? I mean, you mentioned Germany. What are some other ones that kind of stick out to you as they're kind of going to take the reins?
Hopefully Sweden. I haven't seen Sweden do much, but in the last election, climate was a dominant political issue because when the tundra in the Arctic was burning, the amount of smoke that was coming into the mainland part of Sweden was so incredible that it really forced them to pay attention. You hope Italy, France, England, the Greens have some really strong partners, but they're pretty small. They're not as big. England is one of 3 countries, us, Canada, and the United States, that use a winner-take-all system. So they're one of the few democracies that don't have proportional representation. But Carolyn Lucas is considered one of the real, thinkers within the environmental, movement within Europe. The Scandinavian countries, Iceland. One of the things we mentioned before about carbon capture, the volcanic rock in Iceland apparently is a natural way of putting carbon back into the soil and out of the atmosphere. So my guess is that, they're too small to make it a worldwide dent, but it's one of the
they could
big research
give
things.
A model, right?
Right.
Man, I've never been to Iceland, but I really feel like the more I hear and learn about it, the more I feel like that's my place, Iceland. I mean, they have a museum dedicated to punk rock. They put bankers in jail, and they're doing something about climate change. It's just my kind of place. But
I'm trying to think whether the prime minister of Iceland is agreeing. It might possibly be. There was one of these countries like that where a young woman, won the election, and they made her the prime minister. She'd been in the parliament previously. She may have been an offshoot from another party, but she was very popular, and now she's prime minister of the country.
Well, so let's.
Iceland, of course, there's a lot of geothermal, so they're one of the countries most high up. But Europe also, they're 10 years ahead of us on offshore wind. China, there's a lot of problems with China, but they're one of the big factors that drove down the cost of solar panels across the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one might argue with some justification that their labor standards in making those panels were certainly substandard, but when these other countries invest in stuff, in the United States, we have one little offshore wind farm off of Block Island, Rhode Island, 5 wind turbines. We don't know how to build this stuff. We're actually that's one of the things that Biden announced. The best place in the world for offshore wind is off in New York City and New Jersey. But one of the problems is we don't know how to build the turbines. We learn how to do that. We don't know how to, we don't have the ships. And we have this thing called the Jones Act, which means if you're a foreign ship, you can only make one visit. So if you're trying to take, turbines from the factory, you have to be on the water for offshore wind. You bring it to one place, and then you got to go home, get back to the port, and come back. It's one of the reasons Puerto Rico has so much problem, because they unfortunately are subjected to the Jones Act as well. So all their imports are far more expensive, because of that. But they're so far ahead on offshore wind. We're going to use their. In fact, many of the companies like in New York that are building the offshore wind now are from Europe.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your